Angeline Jackson, you as well. Tell us about that moment for you.
It was exciting, amazing, full of nerves at the same time. Completely not sure if it was really happening. But it was definitely, a good experience. One that I think, one that for me has given me encouragement to continue doing the work that I've been doing. And it showed me, or it highlighted rather, the issue that we face in the country regarding lesbian and bisexual women, and indeed the entire LGBT community, without it needing to become an LGBT issue. So in that way, I also loved how he was able to, mention that issue without it taking over the entire, or becoming this big point. But it was definitely a humbling experience to be recognized, mentioned, hailed up by the president of the first black president of the United States. It was mind blowing.
Jerome, the president mentioned you in just a moment, but Angeline Jackson, tell us about the work you do.
Well, I'm an LGBT rights activist, and also including women's rights. I started earnestly after 2009, the incident that President Obama mentioned, because when I came out on the other side of life, I asked myself at 19, what had I done to contribute to my time here? And for me, activism became that way to be able to help others and to contribute, and also recognizing from my own experience that women, particularly lesbian and bisexual women who were survivors of sexual violence, were not coming forward, were not reporting to the police, and even the obstacles faced when they actually chose to report to police was a motivating factor to continue pushing. So in 2013, myself and Yala Broderick started Quality of Citizenship Jamaica. And what we've been doing since then has been very small, but we've been building up the community, LGBT community, yes, but specifically lesbian, bisexual women and trans persons, because we want to have persons who are empowered, persons who can speak out on their own behalf, people who are fearless and can activate and be activists in their own way, in their small ways, probably not as public, but definitely helping to change society and change people individually.
All right, hold that thought for just a moment for me. I want to go to Albert quickly before, because you told us before the break that you formed an organization, forgive me, the name slips me, Quality Jamaica.
Quality of Citizenship Jamaica.
Thank you so much, my apologies. Yes, and that you advocate, in fact, for the rights of LGBT, they have the initials, right? Jamaicans. So, but let's be frank, because that advocacy is something that's still relatively new in Jamaica, not always welcome. In fact, sometimes greeted with a lot of hostility. So when you heard that President Obama wanted to single you out, or did you hear? What was your reaction?
Well, it follows along the thread that I've been building up over the past 2 years, which is about being out and being public about my experience, my orientation, and what it is that I want to see for Jamaica. So hearing that there was a possibility of being singled out, again, it brought me to, having to make the decision as to whether or not I wanted to be out or outed again. And I put outed in quotes because I'm already out. But this was going to be a lot bigger, this was going to be permanent. There was nothing else before.
This is not you telling your family and friends.
Exactly.
This is the leader of the United States saying on live radio, live TV, live on the internet to the entire world that Angeline is lesbian and an advocate.
Yeah, and I decided to do it because at the end of the day, how many LGBT people in Jamaica can or will publicly stand up and say that I am somebody from the LGBT community? This has been my experience. This is what I want to see. This is how I want to see it happen. There are not many people who can or who are willing to do that, and so the few of us that want to do it, I think when the opportunity presents itself, what we need to do is to grab that opportunity. And for me, this was that opportunity. And there was no way I was going to pass up something like that.
Were you nervous though? When he said, "Where's Angeline? Where's Angeline? Stand up, Angeline."
I was very nervous. For a second, I didn't remember that was actually me.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh wait, oh me," and stand up in that moment. But I was really nervous. Probably the most nervous I've ever been, and I've spoken a lot in international spaces, but this was the most nerve-wracking experience I've been through.
This was home.
Yeah, it's home. That as well, and it's public. There's just so many things around it. But at the same time, recognizing that by me doing that, not just makes me very public and very visible, but then it also, I don't want to say puts a responsibility or an onus, but it does put me in a position to now do more about speaking on behalf of, or speaking, or I want to speak it on behalf of, because I certainly don't represent the entire LGBT community, but sharing our experiences. So I take it as a duty that, by doing that, it creates these opportunities and these possibilities, and how am I going to respond to it?
What do you think was the message he was sending? Because there are no accidents, there are no coincidences when people like the President of the United States names Jerome, Cohen, names Angeline Jackson. What do you think is the message he was sending?
As he mentioned, the last thing that he said was about creating an equal society, a just society for all of us. I think many persons expected LGBT issues to, dominate the discussion, and then it become this big media problem with LGBT rights. I think what President Obama did was he touched on issues that needed to be touched on without saying a lot. He said what needed to be said and left it up to us as the people to move the discussion forward. And I think that's perfect, because we don't need the U.S. to tell us what to do. We need to figure out our own thing, and we need to do it ourselves. So I think by him, singling me out and using my story and speaking about who I am, it presented to Jamaica, to the young leaders, that, listen, this is a problem that affects a Jamaican, regardless of what their sexual orientation is. This is a problem that we need to talk about.
What reaction have you got since yesterday? Not from your community, not from people who are really sympathetic. What have you been hearing?
It's been interesting. I have gotten, I would say, relatively good reactions. Specifically, what I found interesting is that I've had about 4 heterosexual women who have contacted me in one way or the other to say thank you for speaking out on our behalf. These heterosexual women who have experienced sexual violence, who did not feel comfortable talking about it or even reporting to the police, who have come to me and said thank you. For me, that's a win, because, as I said, it's not just about being gay, it's not just about being a lesbian. It's about, this is a women's issue, and it's an issue that affects everybody else in society. So that reaction from women, the reaction of persons saying, just people saying thank you for choosing to speak out. I don't necessarily agree with you. I don't like your lifestyle, but I respect that you're willing to stand up and to stand up for yourself and to be public about it, so that people can know what is happening. For me, that is important, and that's a win. That's a victory in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, let me just put on the record. I don't remember if I did yesterday, but I thought the town hall meeting was absolutely remarkable. As much for President Obama's intervention as for the interaction with the young people and the questions and the obvious thought that went into what people were saying and so on. There were, I think, almost all the questions I really, really liked. Just two I never like, but but most of them I thought were really, really good. I've been hearing some criticism. I thought everybody concerned did such a great job, and we really put our young people on show in a spectacular way. So I was like, yeah man, that is so cool. Angeline Jackson, what about you? You studied what?
Well, I'm still at school. Juggling international activism and campus-based school is not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but I'm moving to complete my degree online in management. So it's about, further personal development, finishing the bachelor's, moving on to a master's. I have no idea what direction that is taking just yet. But also it's about education across the society, education within the LGBT community, empowering lesbian, bisexual women and trans persons, having them being empowered, then able to reach out to other persons within society, heterosexual people, and our allies who are there who may need a little prodding. But speaking to them and being able to show that I am a human, I'm a person just like you. If you cut me, I bleed in the same way. And having that conversation. So it's education, not necessarily at the top level, degrees and school, but also just community education and empowering other persons.
I read, though, that you are also interested in politics, correct?
I am. I have an interest.
Okay, you phrase that very, very carefully.
Yes.
Do you see the day where you could actually run for office here in Jamaica?
Of course. I don't think anything is impossible. Everything is possible. And if it's something that I see as being a possibility, then it makes it more likely. There's no way I'm going to be back in the closet to do that, so getting to that point I think is very possible, but it starts with community engagement. It starts with changing hearts and minds. It's not always about legislative change, because you change the laws and you don't change people's hearts and minds and you're not moving anywhere. But I think if we do that and we show that we are interested in what's happening in Jamaica, and that we are Jamaicans and we're working together, all of us working together towards this one vision, this Vision 2030. And we can put ourselves in and work with other organizations, other groups, other interests. Then I think we develop allies in different areas, and where we can then develop compromise, we start moving forward even more. So even within the political sphere, starting to look at that, just being interested, but saying that, I'm interested, I am willing to acknowledge that there may be some compromise needed for now, but at the end of the day, I'm not looking to enter politics before another 10 years.
Okay.
I think a lot can change in 10 years.
But I have to leave it there. Can I thank you all so much? Appreciate you talking to us. Hope we can keep you on speed dial and call you again perhaps to comment on other things.
No problem. All
right, great to talk to you all. Jerome Cowan and Angeline Jackson, they were both acknowledged, asked to stand by U.S. President Barack Obama for their community work. Also, Aubrey